Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are putting your own brain under the microscope.
We are.
We've been tracking this narrative for a while, the idea that artificial intelligence is a bicycle for the mind.
That was a Steve Jobs line about computers.
Exactly, that they make us faster, more efficient. But there's this other story emerging from the data, a counter-narrative, that's a lot less optimistic.
Yeah, that instead of a bicycle, we might just be building ourselves a very, very comfortable crutch.
A crutch. And that's the central question, isn't it?
It's the essential tension of this moment. Are we offloading grunt work to do higher-level thinking, or are we offloading the thinking itself?
And we're not just, speculating today. We have a really robust stack of research to pull from.
We do. We're looking at writing guides from Northern Illinois University and Cal State San Marcos, a massive study on researcher fatigue, some industry reports on automation, and even some really heavy-hitting research from Nature Medicine.
What's so interesting is that across all these fields, a student writing an essay, a doctor diagnosing a patient, the solution to this crutch problem seems to be the same. The engineers call it human in the loop.
HITL. Yep, human in the loop. It's a term that usually lives in, machine learning papers.
Right.
But the argument we're seeing is that it needs to become, well, almost a lifestyle choice. The operating system for how we work with these tools without losing our edge.
So that's the mission for today, figuring out how to engineer the perfect workflow. You called it the human-AI sandwich in our notes.
I did. It sounds a little messy, I know. But the logic is sound. It's all about wrapping human judgment around AI efficiency.
And to really get why that sandwich is necessary, we have to start with where the AI-only approach just completely fails.
And the best place to start is, believe it or not, writing and education. NIU, Northern Illinois University, they put out these guidelines that just dismantle the whole prompt it and forget it idea.
I read that guide. And what struck me is that they're treating writing as a cognitive process, not a production process. If you just want words on a page, okay, fine, the AI can do that. But if you actually want to think, you have to structure the loop differently.
And that's the sandwich. Step one is pure human. You create the outline. You dictate the arguments.
Which is so crucial. Because if you let the AI do the outline, you've already given up the whole logical structure of the piece.
You're just following its train of thought.
So, okay, I've got my outline. I know my argument. Step two is where the AI comes in, but not to write.
No, you use it for brainstorming, specifically for adversarial brainstorming.
So you'd ask it something like, here's my argument. What am I missing?
Or give me 3 counter-arguments a skeptic would make. You're using it to stress test your own ideas, not generate your sentences.
And that brings us to step 3, which is the human writes the first draft.
The part everyone wants to skip.
I could just hear people groaning, wait, I have to write the draft. Isn't that the whole point of the AI?
But if you skip this, you lose retention. There's this concept called cognitive offloading. It's when we rely on external tools to reduce mental effort.
Like a grocery list.
A grocery list is perfect cognitive offloading. But when you offload the synthesis of ideas, which is what writing is, you get the Google effect. You just don't retain the information because your brain knows it doesn't have to.
If you don't write the draft, you haven't actually learned the material.
Not really. So you struggle through it. That's the core of the work. Then step 4, the AI comes back in.
But in a different role again.
Right. It's an editor now, not a writer. You feed your draft in and ask for a critique on clarity or flow.
And the final step, step 5, the human verifies everything. It's a full loop. Human starts, AI challenges, human writes, AI critiques, human finalizes.
It's definitely more work in the short term.
Oh, for sure.
But the output is higher quality, and more importantly, the human in the loop actually gets smarter.
This lines up perfectly with what Cal State San Marcos is recommending. They call it active learning.
I love their concept of the Socratic tutor.
It's a brilliant prompt strategy. You basically forbid the AI from giving you the answer.
Yeah, you tell it, you are a tutor. I want to learn about this topic. Do not explain it to me. Ask me questions to guide my thinking.
It's the complete opposite of how most people use these tools.
We treat it like an oracle. Give me the answer. This treats it like a sparring partner.
And that's so important because of what the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics points out.
The hallucinations.
The hallucinations.
Yeah.
The AI can be so confidently, vividly wrong. If you don't know the topic, you have no way to spot the lie.
And that's the paradox, isn't it? We think these are tools for beginners.
Right.
But the argument is you actually need more expertise to use them safely, not less. A beginner lacks the ground truth to spot the error. You need that foundation to say, hang on, that's just not right.
And that susceptibility, it's not just a student problem. We found this study in the journal Technologies. They tracked almost 1,000 researchers.
998, yeah.
And the hypothesis would be, well, using Gen AI should make them less tired, produce better work.
The bicycle theory.
But the data showed the crutch. It found that heavy users of these tools, it actually intensified the negative impact of cognitive load on their work quality.
Let's break that down because it sounds counterintuitive.
It really does.
When these highly skilled researchers were tired, mentally exhausted, relying on AI didn't help them, it actually made their work worse.
Oh.
The theory is automation bias. When we're tired, we stop critically evaluating the AI's output. Our tired brain sees a well-structured paragraph and just says,
Looks good to me.
Sure. Exactly. You stop being the editor and you just become a rubber stamp. The fatigue erodes that human-in-the-loop function.
And the study found the only thing that protected against this quality drop was resilience and research engagement.
In other words, you have to care.
You have to care.
You have to care enough to fight that urge to just accept the output, even when you're exhausted.
This is a perfect bridge to the business world. Because if a researcher gets lazy, a bad paper gets published. But in business, automation bias costs you actual money.
Or it destroys your reputation. The stakes are so immediate. That's why we're seeing this shift away from 100% automation toward HITL, especially for handling what they call edge cases.
So in edge cases, basically anything that falls outside the normal pattern the AI was trained on.
Exactly. AI is fantastic at patterns, at the average. But real life is just full of weird exceptions.
Like that HVAC company example we found, they tried to automate their lead qualification.
Right. They set up a bot to field calls. Goal was speed. But the bot couldn't tell the difference between a homeowner needing a $200 tune-up
And a commercial client needing a $50,000 system installation.
It treated them the same because it was working from a script, not from context. It was misrouting these huge, high-value leads.
So what's the fix? You can't just go back to having a human answer every single call.
You use confidence thresholds. This is the technical side of HITL. You tell the AI to handle the call only if it's, say, 95% confident it knows what to do.
But if the confidence drops?
If it's ambiguous, the system triggers a handoff. It pings a human agent and says, I don't know what to do here, you take over.
That seems to be the sweet spot. We saw it in the data on document processing, too.
We did. AI alone might get you 80, maybe 90% accuracy on messy invoices. In finance, 90% is a total disaster.
That's 1 in 10 invoices being wrong.
But if you add a human verification step for just those low-confidence cases, the accuracy jumps to 99.9%.
That last little bit is the human premium.
It really is. And there was another example of what happens when you ignore it, the driver service in Mexico City.
Oh, right. They automated driver assignments based on location. Seemed efficient.
Until it matched a driver with no security clearance to a high-ranking embassy official.
Which is a massive security breach.
A huge one. The AI just saw driver A is close to passenger B. It didn't see... Passenger B is a VIP target who needs security protocols.
It's interesting that in both cases, the HVAC company and the VIP passenger, the AI failed because it lacked sociological context.
Yes. It understood the data, but not the meaning of the data.
And that limitation becomes, well, a matter of life and death when we move into healthcare.
The Nature Medicine review and the Obermeyer study we looked at are, frankly, terrifying. They show what happens when AI operates without that kind of awareness.
This is where we have to talk about proxy variables.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through what happened with that healthcare algorithm?
So this algorithm was widely used in U.S. hospitals. The goal was to find patients with complex health needs to get them extra care. To do that, it had to predict who was the sickest.
But sickness isn't a simple data point. You can't just query a database for sickness level.
So the developers used a proxy. They used healthcare costs. The assumption was, okay, sick people use more healthcare, so high costs must equal high sickness.
It makes a certain kind of spreadsheet logic.
But it completely ignores the social reality. In the U.S., Black patients, for a whole host of systemic reasons, have historically had less access to care. So for the same level of illness, their healthcare costs are often lower.
So the AI looks at two patients with the exact same chronic disease, one Black, one white. The white patient has higher costs.
And the AI concludes the white patient is sicker and prioritizes them for extra care.
Wow.
The algorithm wasn't programmed to be racist. It was biased because the proxy variable it was using was inherently biased. It confused spending with need.
And this brings us back to that ground truth problem you mentioned with the students.
Yes. Nature medicine even has an acronym for it. WEIRD. Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic.
Meaning most AI models are trained on data from those populations.
So when a skin cancer detection app is trained mostly on light skin,
It performs poorly on darker skin tones. It sees anything else as an anomaly, an edge case.
and this is exactly why the human in the loop is completely non-negotiable in medicine.
But there is a hopeful part to this story.
There is. Because humans were in the loop researchers, doctors, they audited the algorithm. They caught the mistake.
They realized the proxy was wrong.
And they changed it. Instead of looking at costs, they retrained the model to look at actual biological markers, blood pressure, lab results.
The actual science?
The actual science. And when they did that, the number of Black patients identified for that extra care program tripled.
Triple. That's just incredible.
It is. And it shows that AI is a powerful tool, but it needs a human to define what success even looks like. The AI thought success was predicting costs. Humans had to step in and say, no, success is predicting health.
So if we zoom out and look at the whole picture, students, researchers, businesses, doctors, the common thread is this loop.
It's this realization that automation is not an on-off switch. You don't just turn it on and walk away. It's a relationship.
And if you stop putting in the effort, it falls apart.
That's the tutor in the head idea. If you use AI to challenge yourself, like with that Socratic tutor prompt, you're internalizing skills. You're building a tutor in your own mind.
You get better at spotting faulty logic.
But if you just use it as a crutch,
You evict the tutor.
you offload your own resilience. And like we saw with that researcher study, once you stop checking the work, the quality just spirals.
So the question we started with, bicycle or crutch?
And the answer seems to be, it really depends on the writer.
The bicycle doesn't pedal itself.
Not at all. If you stop pedaling, you fall over. The AI can make you go faster, but you, the human, have to provide the power, the direction, and the balance.
And that's really the takeaway for 2026. The tech is getting better and better.
But the requirement for human engagement, for human judgment, is actually getting higher, not lower. The better the AI gets, the sharper the human needs to be to manage it.
We'll leave you with that thought. Are you using these tools to skip the thinking or to sharpen it? Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.